No, don't quit out. Damn it, I was gonna run off the stage and kill myself. You would've won that game. Jeez, man. You know, I feel like in retrospect, Fox was probably the correct choice for trying to do what I'm doing here. Because Fox is one of the only characters that consistently gets kills off the top. Yeah. But with that said, probably go back into it and, or a couple other things. There's actually one thing that I really wanted to, put my thoughts to in a more coherent way than I did the last time I talked about it, which was the whole, thing about the GOP might be, like, genuinely done for. Oh, what a homie. He homie stalked. So, viewers of this channel will know that I am no friend to the Republican Party. I mean, duh, just look at my channel name and the kind of banner I have and that sort of thing, right? But I have tried my best to keep a level head when examining party politics in such a way that I don't let my biases get the best of me. And I do genuinely think that just from, like, a historical perspective, we are going to see the end of the GOP potentially within my lifetime. Maybe not in the very immediate future. But certainly by the time I'm, like, I don't know, middle-aged? Something like that. And that's for a couple things I kind of want to go through right quick. This was one of the few things that I thought was, like, important enough to talk about that I actually wrote down notes for it. So I'm going to try to take a look at those when and if I can, you know. Oh, wow. I'm not going to take that KO. I am, however, going to take, I don't know, 57 damage? Yeah, sure. 69. 96. Ah, damn it. I can't let him stay at the AZ percent forever. No, he's getting away with it. So, okay. Funnily enough, it does involve the indictments that Trump has been subjected to in Georgia and also federally, but I think the Georgia one is the most relevant here. Sorry, I'm concentrating. Ooh, got him. What? He lived? Okay, not for long, he didn't. But let's just begin with the indictments. Trump is done, politically speaking. I think it's not exactly a controversial statement to say that Trump no longer has a viable career in politics after the indictments that he's been going through, especially in Georgia. Because of, like, the sort of brand unsafe nature of, well, being a criminal. That tends to be pretty not brand safe as far as I'm familiar with politics, you know. And from there, we can take that to mean that the GOP is going to basically have to find somebody else, right? Trump has been, like, the GOP's main guy. You turn on the TV, you hear about politics, you hear about Trump, right? Especially on the Republican side of things, you know, he was their main personality for the longest time, and in many ways still is. And I think that's to their detriment, to the Republican Party's detriment, right? Because not only is Trump now optically very bad for them, but he's clung to the GOP in such a way that it's going to be almost impossible for them to get rid of him, right? So I think we can all pretty safely say that Trump has some very snake oil salesman tendencies, you know? He loves to make money, and he does so oftentimes by, like, either cheaping out or, like, overtly scamming people who will give him that money, you know? And the effect of this has been basically that the entire Republican Party's money structure has been rebuilt around the image of Donald Trump, which is kind of bad for the GOP because the party machinery needs that money independently of the main personality that they're relying on, you know? That was kind of nutty. And, you know, of course, Trump's presence is not only going to drive away the big donors, but it's also kind of having a disproportionate hit on the small donors, right? Because a lot of the Republican base is fully in the camp of Trump. You know, they love him. He's their guy. So they've been donating money mostly to pay for his legal bills. The problem with this is that the Republican Party also needs that money, right? So now the Republican Party isn't getting the money that they need to run campaigns, which in their ideal world is still very bad, but we're not living in their ideal world. In their ideal world, they have a strong platform with which to attract people with a political message and a vision that sounds good, that people want to support. They don't have that right now. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but lately all the Republican Party talks about is trans people and the queer community, right? And even among conservatives in America, those are not winning issues, right? Oh, that would have been cool. Like, even if you look at polling data, right? I've looked at some of this polling data. Even conservative voters are okay with queer people and trans people existing and think that the GOP narrative about them being like groomers coming for your kids and whatever is like overblown, right? And the problem with that then for the GOP is that they don't have anything else to really to talk about. People are sort of more conscious now than they have been before to the concept of, well, tax cuts not working, right? People don't like the idea of cutting taxes for wealthy people. And more than that, the usual rhetoric doesn't hit as hard anymore because, again, a lot of it revolves around that. So now we have this sort of like perfect storm where the GOP doesn't really have anything to offer except for things that their base doesn't like. Sometimes in spite of them being conservative. You know? And add to that the incoming age demographics are millennials and Gen Z, which I'm a part of. I'm a Zoomer, as it were, who are overwhelmingly left-leaning. And the Republicans basically are out of gas. Like, they have no viable route into politics anymore. You know, they really have to change in a way that they're ultimately, I think, not capable of. You know, they are literally relying on dying demographics of people. Their main supporters are boomers and Gen X, which are actually not, you know, there's not a huge difference between left and right-leaning people in those generations, despite what conventional narratives might hold. You know. I'm alive still? Let's go. No, I'm not alive anymore. So as a result of all that, right, you have all these things that hurt the GOP. It's like death by 1,000 pinpricks. Eventually, the Democratic Party is going to be the only relevant political party in the United States out of the two. And no, I don't think that means that like third parties have an in, because this is still a first past the post voting system. I think ultimately what's going to happen is either it becomes like a, I mean, it might be a one-party Democratic Party state for a little while, but if you've heard of like the Whig Party and some of the older American political parties, and you might know that like what tends to happen is like a new party comes to the scene, or like a party reformation happens, and then there's a new dynamic of two parties. The Democratic Party will be one of them because they're not necessarily waning in relevance the same way the Republicans are. Although I think then the next question would be just, is the Democratic Party going to split as a result of the relatively uncontested power they're going to enjoy in the coming decades? Or are we going to see a new party come up to rival the Democrats, and then like that be the new two-party dynamic? And that, I don't really have a good answer for that, because it requires me to speculate on things I don't really know about. No. Ah, I'm dead. The last caveat I have to add, I wanted to, just one more thing, and then I'm done, I promise, is that the GOP is not going to die on its own, right? We have to sort of put the nails in the coffin ourselves. The nails in the coffin are already there, which is a bad sign for the GOP, but we can't give them enough time to, as people who presumably support trans people and oppose whatever the GOP is getting up to, we need to be vigilant in proverbially, putting the nails in the coffin, so to speak, until the GOP is no longer a relevant force in politics. And then, I'm not going to say that's going to be a good world, strictly speaking, but it's going to be better than the one we're living in right now, where Republicans are running around talking about how climate change isn't real and trans people are going to kill everybody with their girl cock degeneracy or something. And then from there, from the death of the GOP onwards, that opens things up to much more positive left-leaning changes. Like a welfare state and like social democratic things. As much as I have many, many issues with modern social democrats, they could be useful in America, because America never really had a functioning social democracy the way Europe and certain European countries did. I need to be careful because I'm trying to throw every game in this. So right now, I'm in a very oddly optimistic place about politics in some ways, I still believe basically every bad thing that you could realistically say about the GOP as far as their political prescriptions go. I still believe, if they took power, it would be Jover. They still have all the anti-democratic aspirations, and all the anti-trans aspirations and things like that they always have. It's just now they're kind of uselessly flailing, and that brings me great joy as somebody who is an average trans rights enthusiast and average GOP opponent. That was almost cool.